Thank you for joining us today for the AIME Women's Mortgage Network's Growth Series on our new day and time, Friday at noon Eastern Time. This series is here for you to educate, inspire, and share your progress as we lift each other up to new levels. On today's show, we are joined by three of our WMN members who are going to discuss how and when to turn business down. Let's meet our panelists. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we have Alicia Knox.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Mortgage. Then from Arizona, we have Jessica Eller. She is a loan officer and the boss lady at Price Mortgage. And from Colorado, we have Stacy Stanley. She is the broker owner at Access Home Loans. Well, ladies, first off, I want to thank you all for being here with us today. And we are going to discuss something that as strong women business leaders, we struggle with at times, saying no or ending business relationships. So first off, can you share a time when you specifically had to say no to either a transaction or family or a referral partner? And let's start with Stacy.
Hey, Laura, I'm really excited to be here. Glad to be joining you with the Women's Network here today. And yes, actually, a slight twist to your question is a time when I said yes, when I should have said no.
Oh.
Yeah, basically, I'm very big on telling people to stay in their lane and do what they know. And unfortunately, I had an agent basically beg me to do a renovation loan, which I do have the technical knowledge to do, but because I don't do it every single day, I got into a situation with this transaction where the lender actually made error after error. And because I don't do this every day and I don't fight in the trenches every day on these types of loans, I did not have the position of strength to fight back or push back or try to keep it on course. And let's just say it was not a very happy ending. So, you know, I'm a huge proponent of doing what you know and, of course, doing what you specialize in. And renovation was definitely not my scene.
So what did you learn from that? And what are you going to do going forward based on that experience?
Well, what I learned from that is just that technical knowledge is not the same as on the street knowledge. And I see it every day with, you know, in forums and things like that with like VA loans, people asking some very bad questions that really put the veteran at risk. And while this was not a veteran client that I was helping, it was still not being the best steward of their investment and, you know, trying to buy that house. So my real takeaway was just that no matter how painful it is and no matter how much they ask you to please do the transaction, if it is not your wheelhouse, refer it to a trusted professional whose wheelhouse it is.
I love that. And that's the great thing, as you know, what AIME's created and the Women's Mortgage Network is now there is a community where you actually can find people that are experts in those particular specialties. And you can say, you know what? This person is a renovation expert or a reverse mortgage expert or whatever particulars there are. So that's the value that we have now. You know, where years ago, it was like, well, if I don't do it, I don't know how to service this family or my referral partner. So that's wonderful. Thank you, Stacy. All right, Alicia, tell us a time either in Stacy's case where you said yes and you learned the lesson or where you actually did say no and why.
Well, I took on a partnership thinking, you know, we can grow this elaborate business, but I did not do my due diligence and I did not make sure that we were completely aligned with each other and had the same values going forward. And as I was going through it, I got very, very overwhelmed. And I think I lost some business from it too. And so I learned that I need to do my due diligence because if we're not aligned, it should be a no right off the bat.
Absolutely. So it's so valuable, right? Because initially it's like the honeymoon period, right? everything is perfect, everyone loves everyone. But in time, maybe that changes based upon different situations. And Alicia, you had mentioned something even yesterday where you had said, you know, a lot of times we go out to find referral partners or business associates like realtors. And you said something very valuable when you had said, you know, a lot of times we're going out saying, oh, well, you know, we need to partner with everyone. But truly, it should be you're almost interviewing them or you're evaluating them and doing your due diligence. So speak a little bit about that.
So what I said was we go out and we're hungry for business and we're trying to do everything we can to please them, but we're actually interviewing them too. And we do have the right to say, you know what, this is not going to work for me. I've listened to what you all have to say and it doesn't align with my business. So while they're interviewing us, we're interviewing them and we both have the right to say no and move on.
Wonderful. Okay, Jessica, tell us either a time you said yes and it shouldn't have, or a situation where you actually said no and why, and what have you learned from it?
Yeah, I actually say no all the time, but
Jessica's very, very good at that.
My lesson comes from saying yes when I should have said no. I always make sure that I have full docs and everything before I issue a pre-approval. It was a weekend and it was late and the realtor was like, I know that they're good for it, just get it through. We had at least pulled their credit, but they went under contract. We had to move forward and there were so many missing pieces. They should never have been qualified. I should have listened to my gut. I should have said no, but I was so new to the business that I didn't want to push away this potential realtor partner. And it made my life miserable for a solid 6 weeks trying to fight getting this loan to go through. And I shouldn't have done it from the beginning.
Right. Okay. So an excellent example. And I bet a lot of people can probably relate to that exact example. So thank you. Well, now that we've established, some examples of situations, now let's jump into, so how do we handle maybe once we've identified that we shouldn't do this, how do we break it off, whether it's a relationship or those next steps, like Stacy, I'm going to circle back to you, of what have you done to put in place to help those specialty transactions that maybe it's not in your wheelhouse. So let's kind of give some advice as to how to handle that.
Well, just like you mentioned before, we now have a network to really tap into and access. So even if it was another state, I know that I have people basically on speed dial that I can reach out to when it is not my area. In fact, I'm purchasing land right now. I don't do land loans. I don't know how to do it. And I have a good friend down in Colorado Springs that I have doing that loan. So it's a matter of having the referral sources so that when the next time an agent calls and says, hey, do you do a one-time construction loan? You know what? I really don't. I don't even have the access to it right now. And so what I'm going to do is make a referral to someone that I know and trust that can actually help you and your client out for that particular product. It's really just saying, when you, I don't want to call it fall on the sword, but when you humble yourself and say, hey, this really is not my area of expertise, and I don't want to do your client a disservice, it's really not a bad conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually think it shows great strength because anyone can say, I can do this and this and this and this and be a master of nothing. It takes great strength and courage, and you're putting the client or the referral partner first, right? You're looking out for them. And I think people will respect that and actually bring you more business in the future. So I think that's wonderful. Great. Thank you. All right, Jessica. So how do we let them down? Okay, go back to, even if you want to go back to your example. So now we've realized, okay, this isn't working. I got myself into this situation. How do you politely get yourself out of that situation without it coming across in a negative way?
So at that point, for that specific situation, there was a no coming back zone, and it was simply a loan denial. But now how I handle those situations in the very beginning is to say, I'm sorry, I need the full document before I'll proceed. That's the way that I do it. If you want to, work with somebody else that will just write it for you, then by all means, go ahead and do so.
Got it. So it's really communication, right? It's providing communication, being out there, having those conversations that don't hide from it, be out there in front of it, and just continue to communicate. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you don't have to be rude about it. You can just be, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you.
Right, exactly. And we know, we were even saying previously, is we know we've heard but the other people do it for me, or other people don't have a problem giving a pre-qual without actually having documentation, right? I mean, that's something that you do here. And it's almost like instinctively in our brain, you start like second guessing yourself and almost saying, wait a minute, if other people are doing it, maybe I'm being too difficult. You're not.
No, now I mean, opposite. Oh, great, give them a call and they can help you.
It's great that you've got a source to help you. That's wonderful. All right, Alicia, so you're in this partnership. You realize that after time has gone by, you realize it's not the right fit. How do you approach it? How do you handle that situation?
Well, I think the first thing is to show appreciation. Let the person know that you appreciate them, because you wouldn't have done the partnership in the beginning if you didn't appreciate it, correct? Mm-hmm. And then also, you let them know that you're saying no to not them personally, because you don't want them to take it personal, because you still like the person and you still may do business with them down the line. But you're saying no to the partnership or the project because it's just not in line with what you want to do, or what I wanted to do. I'm talking in third person, but
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great way to approach it. Now, Alicia, another question for you. So you mentioned fear of missing out, fear of missing out on an opportunity, concern that if you say no to a particular business opportunity or partnership or a particular transaction, right? Oh my goodness, I'm saying no to this renovation loan, but maybe that would make it so I get more renovation loans, whatever. The fear of missing out on whatever it is. We all have that, right? We all think, oh my goodness, if I say no, well, maybe that will negatively affect my business, or maybe that's an opportunity that could turn into something very large, and now I'm saying no to it. How do you handle that?
So in that situation, again, you have to really stick to your guns and know why you're saying no, explain why you're saying no, so that the person doesn't get offended. But also, put your ego aside and know that business will come back to you. You're not really missing out. We're never really missing out. It always comes back. Although we do feel like we're missing out. We're like, oh, those dollars. But business comes back to you, and people respect you more when you're honest and you're direct and you let them know what's going on.
I agree. Totally agree. All right, Jessica. So, we have lots of new ladies coming into the industry, which is awesome. And I think we all know that when you're first starting out, that's your time when you are literally just trying to say yes to everything. Like you are like, I can't turn down. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to say yes to it. So what's some advice, especially if you're first starting out, because you just have that anxiety of, I need numbers, I have to make this happen. So what's some advice there?
I consider it like money is never going to, you have to keep your dignity intact, and that's really important. So saying no to bad referral partners, they're going to keep being bad, and that's not worth the money that you're going to get from it. So I wish I would have known that at the beginning, that saying no would save me a lot of time and stress and anguish down the road. And then, time is super valuable. I have 3 little kids, so I spent so much time trying to learn how to do construction, non-QM, DPA. I spent so much money and time with those leads that went nowhere, that now I don't do those because my time is super limited and valuable. And by becoming an expert at, FHA, VA conventional, I can market towards those people and actually get even more business. So saying no to those made me get more business. I make more money that way. So it worked out.
I love that. And you made
Yeah.
a very good point. And I had mentioned it even yesterday that, of course, even from my perspective, from a lender perspective that does specialty, it's very hard to have someone jump into a specialty product that they've never done before and try to service the client, the borrower, the family as at their highest level. It's very hard. Like, you're right. You almost have to make that decision. Now, a company that says, hey, I'm in an area that I need to, I'll just pick California. We know that in California, you probably need non-QM, right? In certain areas of the country, there's going to be more need for non-QM than in other sections. So yes, you probably should become that expert. But if you're in another area that you really don't stumble across that, or maybe it's that one non-QM loan the whole year, that's probably not where you want to put your attention. That's probably not that time that you want to focus on. So very good point, Jessica. And again, when you're first starting out, you think you have to say yes to everything. And as you mature and you become more of a veteran within the industry, you realize that you actually make more and you serve better by saying no to certain things. All right, Stacey, give that piece of advice also for those newbies that are coming in.
Yeah, 3 things. So first thing is figure out what you want your niche to be, because you can certainly do the research in different groups and things like that, find out what's out there and find out what your hot button is. Reverse mortgages as an example. You really need to be a true expert in that product to do it. But you also have to decide, is that the client profile that you would work well with? Are you more of a first-time homebuyer person? So find out what your niche should be. The second step is get the technical knowledge. Go through whatever classes you can find, whatever material you can find to get at least technically knowledgeable, because even someone who does it every day, they really need to know their guidelines as a backbone of doing that business. And then the third thing is, you're not going to get experienced until you actually get in the water and get something, but you need to make sure that you have a mentor or someone that you have on speed dial that can help you through this, because without that, it's again, technical knowledge only gets you so far, and it might get you through a couple of transactions, but definitely have someone who's been down that path and can help you in the peaks and valleys of a transaction.
Yeah, and that is, again, going back to what AIME has built and the Women's Mortgage Network and everything else. I will tell you, I've been in the industry for over 20 years, and you didn't find anyone that was going to mentor, help, or answer a question or guide you years ago. That didn't exist. Everybody was in it for themselves, and it was, hey, that's your problem, not mine. So thank you for that recommendation. All those recommendations are right on point, but it's very true that I've heard newbies, in Women's Mortgage Network that have said, I'm afraid to ask a question because people will think that I don't know. No one is going to judge anything negatively, because we were all at that point that we didn't know. No one knows that. We still don't know everything. We're specialty in certain things and other things that's not our expertise. So certainly use that tribe. And great advice, Stacey. All right, Alicia, tell us your piece of advice.
So I agree with everyone. Figure out your niche. Also, research your market. Know your market. Know what's going on in that town that you're serving, and come up with a business plan. That's extremely important. And along with having a mentor. So once you have a business plan in place, it'll actually just kind of keep you focused, and make a checklist each day and figure out, how many calls are you going to make, or how many people you're going to reach out to. And again, know your market, because that's so important, and know your product.
I love it. Great advice, ladies. You are all awesome. And I love that you shared, some of the tough conversations and how to handle them and how to approach, because obviously you're all very successful, and we appreciate you joining us today. Okay. Wishing everyone now, instead of a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend. And on next week's show, we are going to have 4 WMN members who are going to share their journey through the mortgage industry, from transitioning from retail changing industries and coming into the mortgage industries, being a seasoned veteran that has been a broker since 1993 and never left, has been a broker the entire time. So we are going to hear their different perspectives throughout all of that, and we will hear from them next week. Thanks, everyone, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.